I'm currently at a marina off of Highway 19 near Mariner in Newport Richey, just south of Port Richey. And this regular bar here that's normally, you know, a dockside bar is completely underwater. You can see down in the bottom there, that's where you would normally sit and have your snacks and dinner and whatnot. But it's underwater now. You can see the walkway there is also underwater. That's probably about 4 to 5 foot of water, give or take. And once high tide kicks in, there's gonna be some damage over in this area. No doubt some of the neighborhoods to the west of here are going to be flooded out. I'm not trying to be all doom and gloom here with, you know, making it dramatic for YouTube. That's a serious situation. When you have power and then you have a swell, that's what happens when people die. I mean, I don't think there's anybody at that building at all, that business. However, just north of here is Hudson. This is Highway 19 behind me, right there, for kind of full disclosure perspective. Up there in Hudson, just to the west, anything west of me, so anything further that direction, neighborhoods, condos, cars, boats, they're all underwater or floating around. And up in Hudson, I was just told by a resident who came south from up there that not only are businesses trashed, but buildings are on fire. Residential homes are on fire. And what happens there is you have storm surge, and we're not even at high tide yet. So you have the water coming up, power on in the house. That's going to cause a fire. The house catches on fire. It's flooded. People didn't evacuate, so emergency crews cannot get in there. They have no ability to get in there. So those houses are going to burn down, and hopefully people aren't in them when it happens. Another story I just heard from a resident who came from up there is there's a report of a family who got into their attic. They didn't want to leave their house. Well, the water's coming up. They went into their attic. The problem with that is no one's going to find you. They don't know you're there, and you have no way out unless you go down into the water and get out. So this wall that's to the right side of the screen is pretty dang tall. So the fact that this came over last night and may even get higher is substantial. Now, this is an area that has not been, we weren't devastated last night. We have flooding, we have downed trees, and there's some power loss here and there, but the folks north of us, up along the coast, they are the ones that really sustain the brunt of this. Just to put things in perspective, it's about 10:30 a.m. Around 2 to 3, we're going to have a high tide. This is not high tide. This is regular tide with a little bit of swell. Those cars over there, they need to get them out of there. These boats are going to be over these docks. I won't be here when that happens. If you look over here, these larger boats, they're just tied off on the dock. So when the boat comes up or over that dock, those could possibly untie. If they do, they're just going to be free-for-all in it and cruising around. And they could possibly go through that building, through the lower windows there. And the power's still on in that building, which is absolutely dumb. They need to get power company over here, or someone needs to come here and shut that down, because that is going to cause a fire. It could, very well could. Apparently the rain shut my camera off, my phone, somehow it shut off. But so anyway, what I was saying is we're going to head north towards some other areas. This is all, everything west of me is got problems, and I can see smoke. So there's some houses on fire. I know we're not going to be able to get that close because it's all underwater. So, but we're going to head up. We're going to head up north, see if anybody needs help or anything, or you know, what we can see. we're just south of where we just were by the boats, the docks and all that stuff. That neighborhood's underwater down there, so it's probably a couple feet deep right there where the cops are at, just past the cops. And then it goes out into, it's not a key, but basically you have a lot of inlet over there. And just think of canals like through streets. There'll be a canal, and then on either side there'll be houses, and it's just like a water road, so to speak. Well, those bad boys are full, and no doubt that those people have gotten some major damage on their houses down there. This is Green Key Road. We were here the other day, but we had a different view and a lot less water. You can see the depth there as folks are trying to steer people clear because boats float and cars don't. It's pretty deep through here. And then as you get down into that neighborhood, you can see the old boy down there walking through it right now. So it's about knee deep right there. However, as you get further out towards the Green Key itself, those neighborhoods are always flooding under normal circumstances. So I have no doubt that they're in bad shape down there. And Green Key Beach is probably completely underwater. You got a lot of mobile homes going through there. It's an older area. So there's unfortunately going to be some big time damage down there. More gas stations completely out of gas. We're a little further north up Highway 19 along Florida's Gulf Coast. This is the Cody River, currently standing in Port Richey. The other side is Newport Richey. I just want to show you the level of this river. Those barriers over there are normally, you know, down about 5-6 foot. You can see some boats are just anchored out over there. I don't think those are normally there, but they might be. High tide's coming, so these boats are going to go onto that dock. You can see the businesses off in the distance are flooded. This particular business right here, is faring a little bit better. The walkway obviously covered in water, but the businesses across the way, not so much. It's their first and maybe even second stories are underwater over there. That's not a stranded boat. That's part of a prop for the business. However, behind it, there are some boats that are close to going over the docks. As I was pulling up to park down here and walk up there to check out the river, I noticed that once again, boats float, cars don't. Some dude decided to bring his vehicle, there goes another one, and they're getting stuck in the water because it's getting freaking deep. The tide is coming in. Stuff's about to get worse. Yep, and now dude's got his hood up, and somebody trying to tow him out of there. It's not a joke, man. I'm out here rambling around, but I'm in the safe areas. I'm not going to go drive through this crap over here. For what? Why? You don't need to. There's a dude in a Jeep. I got a Jeep. I won't get stuck. Unnecessary. And it causes strain on those who are out helping people. You heard the fire truck go by. I mean, buildings are on fire in certain areas because power's on and the storm surge got them. We're now looking at the east side of the Cody River into Newport Richey side. You see a gentleman over there. The water is a couple feet from his back door and he's just hanging out having a smoke. I'm seeing considerable flooding in yards, but it doesn't look like it's gone into those houses. A lot of the houses are built up. However, if you're on the river, they're usually built up. However, over here, we've got some substantial flooding in that yard, in that neighborhood. these docks, again, it's not high tide that's coming, and this water is going to go up, 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 and those boats are going to wander around. And I know that those folks right there are doing everything they can to, you know, they may even have to take that boat out during high tide and get out of there, because it's going to go over that dock easily. It's not only wind and surge and tornadoes you have to worry about. If you notice down there in the water, I don't know if the camera's picking it up, the different colors in the water, that's fuel. So that fuel, as it goes, this river goes up or the ocean goes up and it surges into neighborhoods, you don't have any idea what it's going to be carrying with it. Sharp objects, all kinds of issues, chemicals, fuel, a lot of stuff that can mess you up. And it looks like the dockside restaurant with the shark over there, I don't see the shark hanging up, and it looks like they are underwater. It does appear that they've got water over the dock on the one side there. Hopefully, I think that's, if I remember last time I was through, that was a concrete floor, but yeah, of course you always got to worry about electrical fires. So hopefully everything's all good. Again, we're not in high tide yet. It looks like way over there, the road that we were cruising on the last video, or last two videos, dealing with this hurricane. It looks like there's minimal flooding over there. Vehicles are moving freely, at least for now. I would not be over there in a couple hours. Keep on the sunny side, at least they have some kayaks available. That house might not be faring too well here in a little bit, though. High tide coming in. That truck, it's about over where that truck's at. It's about halfway up the wheel, so that's not bad. High tide, if that comes up another 2-3 feet, bye-bye vehicle. I decided to drive a little bit further north of Port Richey into Hudson, Florida. This is where quite a bit of flooding is happening, and the house fires, unfortunately, houses that are catching on fire. Storm surge comes up, electricity's on, people did not leave and their houses catch on fire, and it's avoidable. And there's a massive amount of resources being used to help these folks and get them out of there. I didn't see any fan boats. Sometimes there's boats that'll go out there. I didn't see any additional boats cruising around, but this entire area up here is flooded. Houses are on fire, and you'll be able to see here very quickly the amount of resources that it takes, and it's avoidable. I'm not bagging on the people, but you got to know your area, your zone, and we haven't even hit high tide. We still have wind. You can see, you know, we're in the middle of a break between the bands right now, but it's still dangerous. It's because the hurricane's hammering the Big Bend of Florida. We're still dealing with it down here, and we're about to hit high tide shortly. Time is about 11 a.m. right now. So these neighborhoods down there are all shut down because they're either partially underwater, or some of them further out are underwater. Look at the amount of folks that are there. Emergency personnel. Every neighborhood over in there flooded. Overcome. On a completely different note, That is an epic mailbox. This is the neighborhood, same road as that mailbox with the octopus. That boat over there, that old school boat, is about to float into that dude's yard on high tide. You see the ducks out there? They're freaked out. They just keep circling. But this water is gonna, high tide's about to come in here in a couple hours, and this whole area is gonna be underwater. And I feel bad because it's awesome to live on the water or near the water, but when you have something of this magnitude come through, it makes you wonder why you live there. But you choose where you live. Stuff happens everywhere, so as long as no loss of life, we're good. It's dried off here, at least for now. Winds are picking back up, and that is an issue because when you have high winds, high tide, storm surge, I'm getting off of this road. It's coming over that wall right there. You can see that wall in the water over there. So I'm getting out of here before I don't need to complicate my life or anybody else's. I just saw a deuce-and-a-half military vehicle, monster, going back in one of them neighborhoods. So that thing is strong enough, big enough, tall enough to get folks out. So that's good. There's a lot going on. You know, we're not going into anywhere that is dangerous. Again, I'm not complicating my life or other people's lives. But made our way back down to Port Richey, still in Pasco County. Search and rescue is underway to get folks out of the surge locations. Those are quite a few people trapped in their houses here and north of here in Hudson. I'm on the banks of the Cody River, which have overflowed, and it's high tide. And we've got two things going on. We've got high tide coming in right now, working its way in. It's 12:30, so it'll be here by about 2, maybe a little bit past that. But as you can see behind me, the high tide is coming in, pushing from the bay, which is just over there, into the Cody River, which is overflowing into people's houses. These folks over here got the vibe going on though, right there. They got the vibe. So high tide. Now the winds. Rain has stopped here in Pasco County, but the wind is pushing in. It's pushing east, and it's pushing all that water with it into neighborhoods, into homes, into businesses. Some of those still have electricity on, and when you combine a building full of electricity with water, you get fires a lot of times. I am not standing in the water. I'm on a concrete block, just in case, but things are definitely going to get deeper in this area. So I really hope that folks have gotten out and that they're able to get everybody out and pets and all that stuff. So even though I can run around and do my little video and stuff, what's most important is the safety of everybody, and to not put yourself in a position to, you know, cause additional strain on the system, because there are people that need help right now. So here's an example of why high tide during this situation is really dangerous. As the tide comes in, this neighborhood, which normally, even through a hurricane, was probably not in bad shape, but now it's backing the river up, and the river's coming into the neighborhoods, and it's flooding out streets, yards, houses. So anything in the low-lying area within the next couple hours is going to have some serious issues. Taking a cruise along the scenic road here, and you can see quite a bit of debris from just the other day that has been not only knocked out of trees but washed up. The folks on this road, every year when a hurricane comes through, they do a really good job cleaning up really quick. Everybody comes together, busts out the old chainsaws, and gets it done. But high tide's coming, so you know, when you live here on the banks of the river or any other body of water in Florida, you run the risk, and we all know it. But the good thing about Florida is we bounce back quick. So last night was the hurricane, today's the surge, and then we start the recovery, cleaning up, helping, rebuilding. That's the way it goes. Get up here around the corner. Oh, these kayaks are actually in the water now. They were probably blown off of their carriers. Yeah, they've been blown around and tipped over. So when we get up here, the park that I was at yesterday in yesterday's video, if you've watched that, we're going back to that little walkway area. I just kind of want to see the depth of the river. I know I can see it here, but there's no retaining wall here. So I want to see what we got going on at the same spot we were at yesterday. We're back at Cody River Park. And the river is starting to come back over. It looks like it flooded last night, but it is it's coming over again. High tide coming in and all that. So the river is heading into the neighborhood. And the river flows this way. That's the current, and it heads out to the bay. So you've got current going that way, you've got wind pushing the other direction, and ocean coming in as well. So there's a couple things going on with what's happening and how it happens. Folks that were over there, we saw that in the last video, folks with the boats and all that stuff. This dock, at least the walkway out, is partially underwater. That'll be underwater here shortly, and this whole area will be underwater for probably a couple hours until low tide comes, and then we should be all right. This is what I'm talking about. Folks looking out for one another. As soon as crap hits the ground and it's safe to go outside, they are outside taking care of business and helping one another. That's how you do it, people. That's a really cool stone house. All right, enough of that. Here's an example of debris. Somebody's OG wooden deck chair, a buoy that got tore off somebody's dock, so somebody's dock got jacked. There's more of it, and then a log. So as this stuff goes, and that current and that river is flowing with that wind, as things push with high tide, stuff like this will end up in neighborhoods, in your yards, and in the roads, and that's why you don't want to go driving through half that water. I mean, you will just tear up a tire real quick. This is a view from the Frederick A. Grassen Bridge here in Newport Richey, which goes over the Cody River. You can see to the right, the retention wall is doing its job. High tide's coming in, so it may or may not go over that. Actually, they've got breakers in there, so some of it's coming in over. And then off to the left, we've got a parking lot flooded and several yards. Like, that's what I was saying, is some areas are very low lying, and those are the ones getting flooded. Some are even lower, and those are the ones underwater. And then you got the, you know, more modern ones that are built up. A lot of folks coming out to check out the scene as well. As soon as it dried up and those winds dropped, those folks are walking a retaining wall out there. If you slip, you're going down. It's pretty deep over there. Other than that, it looks like things are returning to somewhat normal. Folks are fishing, walking the dogs. Didn't see anybody kayaking, which is probably a very good idea to not be doing right now. That's it from here. I think that's going to do it. So until next time, hopefully there's never a next time for a hurricane, but it's Florida, so I'm sure there will be. But until the next video, stay dry, take care of yourselves, love one another, and look out for one another. And Lord willing, I'll see you on another aimless adventure.